I'm Charles Strong III from Strong Counseling Solutions LLC. We offer on-site counseling in Gretna, Louisiana, and throughout the state of Louisiana with board-approved online counseling. So in our last video, we talked about high-performance habits as discussed by Brendan Burchard, who has the podcast The Charged Life, and wrote the book we'll be referencing, High-Performance Habits, How Extraordinary People Become That Way. So last time we talked a little bit about how Brendan had this crisis, completely reevaluated his life and where he sits in it, wanted to do better for himself, and in turn sought out 300 or so high performers across various fields to see what makes them tick, what keeps them going. He found that high performance typically contributes to influence, happiness, life satisfaction, and health. In fact, high performers were approximately 40% more likely to work out 3 to 5 times a week, more than the average person. And we've heard about how exercise does wonders for physical health, does wonders for mental health. So it's kind of strange that these people who you'd imagine would be too busy to do anything like that make the time to do so. So 3 components we're talking about today. We're going to wrap up the high performance stuff from Brendan Burchard. 3 components for high performers that they have in their mind are clarity, energy, and necessity. So that kind of defines what shapes how they act in a way. So for clarity, they know what they want, they're clear about their goals and their passions. So a way they do this is they envision what he calls the future for. So who do I want to be in this situation? How do I want to interact with people? Skills that I want to demonstrate in this situation, and contributions I want to make in this situation. So the future four, he calls them, can be summarized as self, social, skills, and services. He pointed to one of the possibly the highest performers of all time, Oprah. In order to attain clarity, apparently, before every meeting, Oprah asks, what is the intention of this meeting? So you want to find out how can you make this effort personally meaningful for you. So we talked about clarity. Now we'll talk about energy, where they feel highly energized each day. Now more clarity, as it turns out, contributes to more energy. And he found that many people feel the energy that they expend, mental, emotional, physical. There's so much external weighing in on that and taking away from them, but they don't acknowledge the internal components. He said that the high performers tend to turn tension to intention. High performers report less stress because they practice renewal with transitions. So these high performers who take on all kinds of stuff, they report lower levels of stress than the typical person. And that's, from what he found, because they take advantage of these minutes between tasks, these transitions. So instead of getting bogged down and wiping the sweat from their brow and just complaining about what just happened, what's still on the plate, they release that mental focus between these activities by walking, by getting water, by doing jumping jacks to refresh and recharge themselves. And that keeps them going, and that powers that endurance that they need to keep doing what they do and stay on top. Clarity and energy. Necessity is the final one we're going to discuss today. And we talked about that in the last video. They don't have any other choice than to excel. So deadlines can be really stressful for all of us. Like if there's a deadline on the horizon or a deadline approaching, a lot of us tend to freak out. He found that with high performers, deadlines typically improve success, and that's because they could tell the difference between real and false deadlines. So what do I mean by that? In order to dig into determining what's real and what's fake as far as deadlines go, if someone gave them a task, they wanted to find out what is the drop dead, the last possible date that this can be done before the world blows up, and why. And they also asked why things should be prioritized up for them. So why does this thing need to be higher on their list of things they need to do than the others? And he said something that's really simple, but is really impactful. So yes will get you in the game. Saying yes to things that are asked of you will, will make contacts, make friends, will get you work. That'll get you in the game. But no keeps you in the game. Knowing when to cut the line and knowing when to say enough is enough, or this just isn't as important as you might think it is, maybe in a nicer way, keeps people from burning out and lets them focus on what really needs to be done. So focus and courage are big parts of necessity for him. He said you need to identify what matters to you and say no to what doesn't. So clarity, energy, and necessity are the last high performance habits we're going to discuss. Some of them that were identified in Brendan Burchard's book, High Performance Habits, How Extraordinary People Become That Way. So hopefully you'll glean some insight and you'll be able to maybe amp up your productivity and perhaps, if nothing else, you won't feel as stressed. Maybe you'll be able to utilize some of those transitions between the activities, and you can be where you want to be. Thanks for listening. Be well.